Hello, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day, happy Singles Day, whatever you want to call it when this is airing. I am running solo, as mentioned from last week. Yes, Alex, the producer here. Michael is off watching, I believe, Disney movies all weekend. There's a whole bunch of the classic Disney animated features he's never actually seen, so I believe Blair wanted him to watch that with her, and that's sort of their Valentine's getaway. And it's going to be a shorter episode this week, although we're going to have probably 4 reviews in here because there's a couple that are timely to put in, as well as shorter amount of stories as per the usual when it's one of us going solo, and we want to keep it sort of light. We can't really discuss the heavier aspects. So outside of that, what's been going on with me? It's been cold here. Very, very cold. Didn't get a chance to see Jackass like I wanted to, but then I realized, hey, I kind of want to watch it with people. It's not really fair for me to see it by myself and then not have any family or friends that are able to go see it or have the ability. So we're going to wait till it hits digital video, and then we're going to gather together and watch it that way. Because it wouldn't be fair either. I know Birdman's a huge fan. If I got to see it, we're talking like months before he does. So as soon as I can see it, and he can see it, and my brother can see it, and our friends can see it, then we're all going to see it. But I do have a ticket to go see Uncharted because the review copy that I received was a standard. You activate the code to review the title, and part of that activation included a free ticket. And apparently that's for anybody that paid for the upgrade or paid for the game itself, pre-ordered it digitally on the PlayStation Store. So that ticket was worth $29 total, but only up to that value for the ticket. So I'm seeing it at the Cineplex locally in one of those D-box seats, one of the vibrating seats that move around and go crazy. That'll be this coming Saturday. I booked that, and if I somehow can't make it out to it or don't go, it's no biggie. I guess they get their free ticket that way. But I plan to go see that. And then I'm probably not going to theaters for a little bit. I know that Batman's coming and some other stuff, but we're going to see how it goes when it comes to... I've lost the interest in actually going physically to see theaters unless it's like a big thing. It's also very cold right now. It's like minus 30 with the wind chill, so it's a little too much right now for me to really want to go and do much. So it's going to be time to catch up on some of the games. There's a lot of stuff coming. I've been working through some. I'm playing a few right now that I can't even talk about, but that's pretty much been it with me. Nothing new out of the ordinary that way. And because this is a shorter show, let me just say what we got for review. From Birdman, we have a review of King Richard and the Cuphead show, which is, I believe, streaming soon, if not now. I'm not 100% sure. I know that we'll be holding this episode till a little bit later on Monday so that it lines up with when the review's allowed to come out. But then for me, we're going to have Sifu and Horizon Forbidden West. So let's go with, let me see here. Maybe we'll go with my review, then Mike's, then mine, then Mike's. So we'll start with Sifu here, and then we're going to get into the news.
Basically using geeks.
Leave me alone, geek boy.
Holy shit, you geeks are badass.
A little while ago, I received a review code for Sifu. That is the Kung Fu brawler that we saw showcased for the PlayStation 5. I think it was a PlayStation 5 showcase, what is it, a year or two ago now? Time has no meaning anymore during the pandemic. And this was released just, I think, right recently, but I was working my way through it. And it's a tough one. Like, you do a fair amount of blocking. Here's the basic setup. You're going through levels and rooms, fighting. It's a brawler, but done in a 3D style instead of like a side-scrolling style. And it's about learning when to block, when to punch, when to do your combos, when to enter your slow-mo to do special moves. And it's just got this really cool ebb and flow to it. It's not going to be for the faint of heart because it isn't an overly easy game, but it's a pretty challenging title. And I'm not usually the best at these sorts of games, but I did find my groove as I was going through it, and it took me a while. The music and sound design is atmospheric and really well done. The visual aesthetic is pretty neat. I was trying to figure out if it's supposed to be Hong Kong or if it's supposed to be another city in China. I think it's supposed to be like a anywhere town, because I couldn't see any landmarks or anything that I could look up and be like, oh, is it supposed to be accurate? I think it's just video game logic for how it's designed, and that's perfectly fine. There's moments where it's designed to look very much so like a scene you would have seen, or a choreographed setup that you'd see in an old kung fu movie, especially a Hong Kong kung fu movie from like the 70s, 80s, or early 90s, that sort of style. And it's pretty well done that way. One's perfectly smooth on the PlayStation 5, which is what you'd expect from something like this. But there's always that worry whether or not something is going to be optimized and work well. No issues with any like glitches or crashes or anything. It just loads fast, plays fast. It's easy to get right into. You sort of jump directly into gameplay. It starts you out in a tutorial where you're sort of explained how to fight as you're going through this compound, let's say, and you get to the end, you have your boss fight, and then the game opens up into what it really is. Now, of course, there's also a PC version of this. I did not review that, but I would imagine if you've got the tech and you've got the setup, you can probably really push this to its max, because it's not an overly complex visual game. It's just very well designed and put together.
The Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
Gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky.
This Week in Geek.
News.
Time for the news. What do we have this week? Birdman had a bunch listed, and I picked sort of three that are easy to talk about. The first is a little bit of a two-part story. The first is that it was announced that Futurama is having a revival that was ordered by Hulu. Sorry, I guess, is this the third revival? Because we had the movies, and then those ended, and then it was called back for a series. Was it Comedy Central that did it? I can't remember. Yeah, so it's coming back, and the second part to this was that they are not getting every single actor. It's pretty much all the actors, but not everybody. The main one being that it was John DiMaggio is not returning. He's holding out for more money or negotiation, and he's probably in the right and probably should get it. I mean, if they're trying to penny them out of this, you can't do Bender without him. Even if they tried to replace him, it wouldn't work. And these actors, they should be paid what they're worth, especially when we know that in the ages of like work from home, pretty much everybody has been relegated to figuring out that it's not as easy working from home as you'd think. And voice actors have sort of always been solo people. They work in booths and all that. And now that a lot of them are working from home, I don't even know how many have been called back to work in studios. It's like they think they can nickel and dime them away, or think that it's not, it's streaming, so we'll pay you less. They should be paid what they're worth, considering the amount of episodes that these shows produce for syndication packages that get sold worldwide. I'll be excited when it comes back. I'm just not 100% sure if I'll watch it if John DiMaggio isn't voicing Bender. And I mean, of course, he voiced several other characters too, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, I know that the Simpsons have removed Apu, and there's a bit of a backlash there too about bringing him back. Like there's choices that were made, but they didn't like not get the actors back, or this would be like if the Simpsons left and then they decided to come back a couple years later because some of the actors still wanted to do it, and then they're like, yeah, we're not going to get Homer's voice, and you'd be like, what? It just doesn't work. So we'll see how this goes. This is going to be a developing story, I think, over the next few weeks, because there's a big backlash against this, and not against DiMaggio, but against Hulu themselves for thinking that it was okay to move forward without him. So maybe everybody should get a little more money that way. Our next story here is brought to us from, oh, yeah, sorry, that first story was comicbook.com. Where are my manners? I forgot to mention. This story is brought to us from Variety, and it is Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit film and gaming rights are up for sale. Interesting because, oh wait, I guess the Amazon show doesn't count because that's a streaming slash television show. But let's read here. Hollywood is about to stampede into Middle Earth. An array of movie merchandising, gaming, and live event rights to Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and the other titles from author J.R.R. Tolkien are coming up for auction now that the Saul Zaentz company has decided to sell the Tolkien holdings. Zaent's company has hired ACF Investment Bank to handle the sale process, which is unfolding this week as bankers make the rounds of the logical Hollywood buyers. The Tolkien properties are projected to fetch at least $2 billion based on recent high valuations of top-tier IP and content producers. Representatives from Zaentz and ACF declined to comment. The timing of the sale process is not accidental. Amazon is set to premiere its long-awaited, mega-budgeted TV series rendition of the enduring Lord of the Rings saga, Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power, on September 2nd. Amazon is at the top of the list of prime candidates to pursue additional rights. So yes, that's right. Amazon has the rights to the TV production, and which includes TV and streaming of the television show. But the movies are up, and the gaming. I don't know if Amazon could do anything with the gaming rights because they've been abysmal at handling gaming. Movie rights, do they even want it? Because their TV show is bigger than any movie is going to be as far as budget goes. So would the logical choice be, because wasn't it New Line that put them out? Wouldn't it be Warner to try to pick them up? But if Warner doesn't have the money, could you see somebody like Disney jumping in? Or would it be somebody like Apple? Like, it could be a crazy investor we're just not thinking of either. So that's going to be very interesting. I don't know if we need any more Lord of the Rings movies, like, at all. If the TV show ends up being good, do we need movies ever again, or at least for another 20 years or more? Probably not. I mean, they've been so played, like, over and over and over again on TV, and the extended editions and the Hobbit movies. The stories are so played out. Do we need them? The TV show is interesting because it allows for long form storytelling and maybe going into greater detail or different routes than we're used to. Gaming is probably going to be the most interesting aspect, because if Disney were to buy it, then who knows who would produce it. Sony doesn't have the money, but could Microsoft pick it up? Who knows? We'll see from there. And our final story is also brought from comicbook.com, and it is saying that Jean-Claude Van Damme is set to retire from action movies with final film What's My Name? Really? It says your action movie legend Jean-Claude Van Damme will make one last action movie before retiring from the genre. Deadline reports Van Damme will star in What's My Name. Jeremy Zag is directing the film, which blurs the line between fiction and Van Damme's personal life, similar to 2008's JCVD. It says here, Van Damme plays himself in the film as he wakes up from a coma after a car crash and finds he has amnesia. To regain his identity, he'll have to progress through a series of fights against iconic opponents from his film career, leading to one epic last battle. And he says, I wanted to leave the stage, but with a revisit of my career, starting with Bloodsport, the one where I started to become famous, he tells Deadline. I wanted this to be a new Bloodsport, but on a higher level. In the film, I am on my way down in terms of career, and I've come out of the premiere of another action movie. I am not happy because I've been living in hotels for the past 30 years, which is actually true. We're going to be to bring the real elements from my real life and what happened to me. I came from Belgium all the way to Hollywood. I succeeded, I failed, I came back, so I'm walking out on the street after the premiere, and boom, a car hits me because I'm drunk. And when I wake from the impact, I don't know what's my name, and no one recognizes me. The report does not confirm any of the other stars who appear in the movie. However, likely candidates include Universal Soldier's Dolph Lundgren. I think Dolph's a shoo-in. Kickboxers, Michelle Kisi, I don't recognize that name. And Double Impact's Bolo looks old. Bolo's like a third of the weight he used to be, and he looks old. So maybe he'll have a little part. It says he's trapped in a catch-22 where his heart is his only guide and road to lead him through the journey that includes a lot of fights, yada, yada, yada. Van Damme adds, we are getting all the iconic people I fought and have to bring them all back. All the UFC fighters grew up watching my movies, and we'll have some of those great champions. Okay, maybe. I guess because the roles aren't coming right now. Maybe he could do there was always talk of him doing another Expendables where he plays his twin brother, which would be hilarious. But yeah, I think it's winding down. I did see one of the kickboxer ones that he did that was actually decent, like the newer ones. And the Universal Soldiers have been hit or miss. Like the first one is great. The second one's hilariously bad, but really fun to watch. The third one was Dolph was great in that though. And then I think there was a fourth or fifth. I don't remember those. And then other recent ones, he's had a few bit parts. That Jean-Claude Van Johnson show that he did for Amazon that only got the one season, that was actually really good. Like really, really good, and should have continued. It was basically what this is, except it was, what if his entire film career, like the reason he stopped making good movies and made all these crappy movies overseas was because he was actually a super spy, and the movies were a cover for him doing like spy stuff. And it was really over the top and self-referential, and he got the humor in it. It was really well made. And then it just didn't get picked for another season. So I feel like that was sort of his last hurrah, maybe becoming like really famous again. But this is a good way to close it out. I think it would be interesting. If it goes to theaters, I will see it for sure. And that's pretty much going to do it for our news. It's a shorter news week because we got an extra review in here. So we're going to go to my review of Sifu, and then we're going to go straight into Michael's review of... let me see here. Oh, actually, wait, no, did we do Sifu already? I might have already done my Sifu review. If that's the case, whoops, depending on how we're recording this, we're going to jump in with either Sifu or King Richard. I'm too tired, or I'm drawing a blank. So one of these two, and then we'll go in with one of the other reviews, and we'll be back with the weird news right after this.
We got future doctors and lawyers, plus a couple tennis stars in this house.
The chances of achieving the kind of success that you're talking about is just very, very unlikely.
Okay, you making a mistake, but I'm gonna let you make it. Watch me hit a few balls. All right. So tell me your names again.
I'm Venus. I'm Serena.
So what'd you think?
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here, and I'm here to talk about one of the latest reviews from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. A review copy was provided to us for King Richard on Blu-ray with a digital code. So this is based upon the true story of Venus and Serena Williams, who are some of the most intense, amazingly skilled, and best tennis players the world has ever seen. And this is the story of their father, Richard, and them rising up through the ranks of the tennis world and eventually becoming champions, and just all the things that happened to them along the way. This is a story I was actually really not familiar with at all. And it was kind of different seeing Will Smith do a dramatic role, because I hadn't seen him do one myself in a really, really long time. So this is my first real Will Smith movie in like easily 5 or 6 years. So going into this, I didn't know what to expect, because I always expect a lot of the Oscar nominated movies to be really boring and really not my thing. This one was actually quite entertaining, if it was a little overly long. This movie is like over 2.5 hours long. If you could cut out about 20 to 30 minutes of this, I think the movie would be a little bit tighter. But you get Will Smith, John Bernthal's in this as well. So Agent J and the Punisher teach Venus and Serena Williams to perfect their tennis game. And I'm really impressed by how much preparation Richard Williams did to get his family ready to participate in the world of professional sports, because he had this like huge plan for Venus and Serena Williams. And one phrase you're really going to get tired of hearing this movie is, you got to have an open stance. And you get the coaches for John McEnroe and the other person that John Bernthal plays, whose name escapes me right at the current moment. And they're contradicting Richard's coaching advice, but I think it's the hybrid style that makes Venus and Serena Williams so powerful. And you see them make choices that you don't really necessarily expect, certainly ones I had no idea about that actually happened, and just how they came up to basically fame, acclaim, and they did it on their own terms. And I think that's something really, really special, especially when you see just how far these women have come in their lives and how much they've inspired other young athletes to pursue this sport if that's what they feel their real kind of passion is. Will Smith here gives a really good performance. I think his accent's a little annoying at times, but when you listen to actual interviews with their father, Venus and Serena Williams' father, yeah, that's pretty much it. And he also did wear the tight shorts and the ridiculous socks all the time. It's actually kind of funny. Overall, though, I liked King Richard. It's a little bit long. Now, to talk about the disc itself, you do get a couple of special features which kind of go into the making of King Richard, a little bit of behind the scenes with Will Smith himself, and then when they had some deleted scenes that obviously ended up on the cutting room floor. Overall, there's not a lot of big special features here. I mean, like, you'll blow through them in less than like 25 minutes if I remember the timing correctly. However, though, is this movie worth owning? If you're invested in the world of tennis and this is your jam, then yeah, sure, I absolutely think so. Is this movie worth a watch to everybody else? I think this is definitely worth a premium VOD rental right now, especially with the Oscars kind of going on rather soon. You should be able to find it real easy. It'll definitely be like highlighted, I would think. For everybody else, if you want a good Will Smith movie, wait for this to come on streaming. If you don't know a lot about Venus and Serena Williams, this maybe isn't necessarily for you. Because like I said, the movie is a little overly long in places. It's not to say that it's bad, it's just long, and unless you already have an investment, I don't know whether it's going to hold your attention for it to really get good. But if you like the world of tennis, and if you love the story of Venus and Serena Williams, and you want to know how they got started, I think this movie is definitely worth watching. So my final recommendation for King Richard from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment is give this movie a watch in any way that you can. For the casual fan, wait for streaming if you're a fan of Will Smith. If you're invested in this, it's worth owning. But if you want to see the Oscar-nominated pictures for this year, it's also worth checking out on premium VOD as well. Once again, a review copy was provided to us for King Richard from Warner Brothers Home Entertainment.
Venus and Serena gonna shake up this world.
Venus Williams, who is your best friend?
Hey, Daddy.
Serena Williams, who is your best friend?
Venus. Then you.
That's
Then you. After Venus.
This is a fair request, and I promise I will not judge any person only as a teenager, and that this is no more right than saying all teenagers are drunken dope addicts or glue sniffers.
Alex here, and this is the first big release of 2022 from our friends at Sony. They sent an early review copy of Horizon Forbidden West, or also known as Horizon 2. Now, this is something we obviously saw revealed when the PlayStation 5 was showcased for the first time. As we're like, oh my god, this is future tech. Now, this is a game that turns out ended up being a multi-generational title, so it was released both on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. The review code that I received did have both on there, so I mean, I don't have a PlayStation 4 anymore, but I did take the time to install it on the PS5 in both versions, so I could see how backwards compatibility would hold up and see if there were any major technical or visual changes. And I'll say it does get a boost to the camera and lighting on the PS5 version, as well as just the overall frame rate seems to be boosted a little more. There's different modes like, favor fidelity versus favor the frame rate. And on the PS4 version, the draw distance was like a little less far, if that makes any sense. But they both played very smoothly. So I'm assuming if you played with a PS4 Pro, you're going to get a pretty good experience. I think the base PS4 might be struggling a bit at this point, but your mileage may vary. As I played the intro on the PS4 version first, and then I deleted that to save space because it's a chunky game. You're looking in the larger, it's not like Call of Duty size, but you're looking depending on the version you install, it's going to take up a bit of space, and I didn't need to necessarily have both installed. So I then loaded up PS5 and did the same introduction area, and then broadened my way out into the main world itself. So this is as open a world, if not even maybe a little more than the original version, or the original game, that to say. Now, there is a wider range of vegetation and just the design of the overall map. There's more things clustered together, more things to do, more little hidden things here and there. I'll start by saying any complaints that I had with the title first, because overall I'm going to be very positive on this. But the negatives I want to say out of the way first are it almost feels like they're just encroaching on too much to do. It's not quite at that level of Ubisoft title where it's like so much stuff on the map that you just feel like overwhelmed and can't complete it. But it is it's a little bit much for my taste. I ended up doing about 75% of the game, doing everything I could as I came across it. And then for the last 25%, I went, yeah, maybe I'll go back later and do it. It's just the little collectibles and filling out the map and finding all the little secrets, that wasn't as appealing to me in this particular title as the main side quests and of course the main story, which is fantastic. I won't spoil anything here, but it builds wonderfully upon what was shown in Horizon Zero Dawn, as well as the expansion for that game. And it is very well voice acted. The mocap is fantastic. It almost looks like you're witnessing a movie when you play. I did like the subtle changes they made to all the character models to make them a little more believable and realistic. I would say some of the enhancements they've done here is the climbing aspect and the like traversal is a little more fluid and a little more updated to what a modern game is doing nowadays. Now, you can't climb on absolutely everything, but you can climb on most things, and it's pretty easy to tell what areas are climbable, what areas aren't. As you play, you sort of just get used to it. There are other tools you can use to traverse. There's like a glider you can get. There's other tools that you can work out. There's a grappling hook that you get very early on in the game, and taking down all the enemies is fun and varied, and it's very satisfying, especially when you enter the slow motion mode. Now, as far as other enhancements and changes that they've made from the original game, it's just mostly a refinement of what was there in the first, and then just expanded out with a larger, more a more diverse world to go across. You do get companions with you as you go through certain missions and certain parts of the game that are AI controlled and are pretty well controlled overall. Now, one thing I saw was that there's an ability for a second player to control the extra player. I didn't obviously do that because while reviewing it, it was a single player review. There was, the sort of the rules you follow when you're reviewing it is only one person touches it. And it's something I'd like to explore later on. But one thing I'm going to list here, other than just playing, like the combat is so robust. It feels very tight, it's very well put together. The diversity in play styles is evident as well. There are areas that you think you can get to right away, but it will actually give you a warning saying, hey, you can't really go here yet because you don't have that ability. But it's not so much that you feel claustrophobic in where you can go. It's not linear. It's just a couple areas in each of the open area near the beginning of the game. There's a couple spots where maybe you go swimming and you can't really go as far as you think you should be able to because you don't have a breathing apparatus yet, or something like to that extent. And then obviously the mythos of the game is what's interesting me the most, the proto future / past sci-fi stuff. And works well in HDR, which previously playing the HDR on the first game, if you played it on like an original PlayStation 4, it was getting kind of rough trying to run that. So it was nice to have a game that you could sort of max out the visual settings on, and it just looks fantastic on the PlayStation 5. Now, as far as anything else is concerned with how it plays, I wanted to mention the accessibility aspects of here. There are so many things you can fine tune to make the text bigger, the voices, the voice mix can come out more pronounced. You can have subtitles with multiple backgrounds and drop shadows and black boxes around them. You can change some contextual things from rapid pressing buttons to holding buttons. You can change auto aim on and off. There's a whole ton of stuff to make it just a little bit easier. And of course, there's different difficulty levels as well that you can select, but you can pretty much customize this any way you want. It's very, very robust, which is what's been sort of the norm and inching towards the norm now in all of the Sony first-party, Sony studio titles. And this is no exception. It's very well done this way. As far as any major glitches, crashes, or anything like that, that seems to be the number one question we get now for any AAA title. None of that. I encountered no major issues. I didn't encounter any. No crashes, no stuttering. I had a consistent frame rate all the way through. No audio glitches or weird issues. I was able to be in control the whole time. It just seems to be a very well put together game. There's probably a day one patch that'll be out to address maybe minor issues or maybe very rare occurrences. But overall, I'm very happy with this release, and we are now going into 2022 pretty strong. And I can't wait to see what else Sony has in store for us when it comes to their first party titles.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
Time for the weird news, and what we have here this week are 3 interesting stories. Now, 2 Birdman picked, and 1 I found just before recording, because I always like to find one weird one that way. The first one here is brought to us by Kotaku, and it says, as it loads, oh my god, it's slow. A man wearing a Sonic mask tried to rob a bank in Florida because, Florida. On February 2nd, which was my birthday, local police were dispatched in response to an attempted bank robbery in DeLand, Florida. According to witnesses on the scene, the man entered the bank wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog mask and wielding a large hammer. As reported in the West Volusia Beacon, on February 2nd, a person believed to be a man based on the voice of the person entered a Florida credit union in DeLand, Florida, wearing a Sonic mask, wielding a hammer, and demanding money from the bank teller. According to folks inside the bank at the time, the man used the hammer to bang on the windows separating the suspect from the teller. He continued to demand cash from the employee while banging numerous times on the window. Another bank employee at the Florida credit union confronted the Sonic bandit, and the suspects stopped slamming the window with his hammer and then escaped on foot before police arrived on the scene. The credit union's assistant vice president of branch operations, Brian Leatherman, told the West Volusia Beacon that nobody was hurt during the short robbery attempt and no money was stolen either. Everybody is safe, nothing was taken, and the local police are on it, Leatherman explained. After attempting to rob the place and escaping on foot, authorities searched the area for any sign of the suspect, but he was apparently too fast. That's funny. And they found nothing, and no arrest had been made yet. DeLand police are continuing to investigate the incident and are asking folks in the area to report anything they know about the suspect. It says here that Kotaku had reached out to the Sonic the Hedgehog's representative and agent for a comment on the situation. To confirm where the speedy little guy was on February 2nd, Sonic hasn't responded. Yada, there's your little joke. That being said, I mean, it's Florida. I get it. You've heard of people using president's masks. It's kind of funny. There's a couple pictures, and it's ridiculous. It looks like something out of like a creepypasta meme or something, which is great. Our next story comes from CP24. Emergency dispatcher in England to help save Ontario woman who called the wrong Durham police. Oh, this is great. Emergency dispatchers in Durham, England were able to assist a woman in Ontario's Durham region for a moment of crisis after she called the wrong police station. Durham constable, this is a weird word. Michael would have a field day with this. Constabulary. 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 Yes, there we go. Durham Constabulary. In England, said that they received a report on Wednesday afternoon using their live chat facility from an Ontario woman more than 4,500 kilometers away who claimed an intruder was attempting to break into her Ajax home. According to the English police force, the woman typed the message, "I need help. He is going to come. He's in the house," before falling silent. The force said their dispatcher realized the mistake and was able to contact Durham Regional Police here in Ontario, who were sent to the scene and found the 35-year-old male in her home. Police said that the suspect fled but was found in a nearby yard where he refused to obey officers' request, adding the man was tasered during the altercation. The suspect was arrested, police say, approximately 30 minutes after the victim first contacted police on the other side of the Atlantic. Wow, that's amazing, considering how technology has been able to do for us for communication. Durham Regional Police confirmed the arrest and said that the suspect has now been charged with 1 count of breaking and entering, 1 count of assault, 1 count of forcible confinement, 1 count of forcible detainer, 1 count of failing to comply with release order, and 1 count of disobeying lawful order of court. This was an unusual incident and a very distressing situation for the victim, but the team remained calm and managed to help our Canadian colleagues resolve the situation quickly and professionally. Inspector Andrea Arthur, head of the force's control room in Durham, England, said in a statement issued Friday, "If we can assist in rescuing a vulnerable victim in immediate danger, regardless of where they live, we will do all we can to help. In this case, we're glad we're glad to learn there has been an arrest, and more importantly, the victim is out of danger and receiving the help she needs." That's kind of cool, and it's something that can only happen in the modern days of, you don't need operators to connect you. You just either call directly or using a live chat feature. It's just instantaneous. We're talking milliseconds or less than a second or two to send anywhere in the world. So that's pretty cool. They were able to call, get in touch. The police showed up. I wouldn't be surprised if the Durham police and Ajax end up sending a thank you or like a letter or something, or maybe buying them, ordering some donuts or something to be delivered over there in England just as a thank you, tipping of the hat to the other forces, which it's always kind of neat when this happens. And it only can happen when you have certain parts of Ontario and other parts of the States where you have areas that are named after British areas that just are dating back a few hundred years, and they just never changed. So they just have the same idea. Or she probably just typed in Durham Police and then didn't check to see that it was Durham Region Police in Ontario versus Durham County in England. So that in itself is it's kind of one of those cool, weird stories that you wouldn't have heard of 20 years ago. And our final story here is brought to us from Rolling Stone. And it's probably the only story we're going to report on that has to do with the trucker convoy, other than it being incredibly stupid and also dangerous that's happening. Now, this is more funny. It says here, a porno metal song about gay cowboys is disrupting the anti-vax trucker convoy. The subtitle is "Ram Ranch has become the unofficial anthem of leftists trolling the far-right protests in Ottawa." This is, oh my God, this is, let me see here. That's basically what it just says, that running that. I'm just going to have to pull up maybe another article that gives a little more context to this, because this is kind of ridiculous. Let me see here. From driving.ca. See if they've got a little more details on this, because the other one was just sort of a headline. And it says here, there's a new hashtag making the way around the Freedom Convoy circles, currently occupying the multiple Canadian cities and international borders. It's known as the Ram Ranch Resistance. Hashtag Ram Ranch Resistance. And it's as raunchy as it is frustrating to anti-vax mandate protesters. Playing off the large number of trucks and their owners who have gathered in Ottawa to protest vaccine mandates, reportedly with many a Ram pickup trucks among them. Counter-protesters are seeding a highly sexualized gay anthem into the Freedom Convoy leaders' communication channels. such as walkie-talkie apps, Zello, in an effort to thwart organizations and rile up participants. To get an understanding of how and why this tactic might be so effectively frustrate convoy organizers, here's a link to the track. Maybe I'll drop it in the show. Yeah, I might drop it in the show. If not, we'll see. Depending on what it says, warning: the song contains foul language. Some readers might find it inappropriate. Maybe. And there's a whole bunch of tweets and responses to be like, people are upset over this. One of the movement's founders, Katerina, a PhD student at the University of Ottawa, who has not given her last name for safety reasons, spoke with Rolling Stone, the magazine first widely reported on the Ram Ranch resistance, telling that the outlet song seemed like a natural tool to help fight what she felt was a right-wing narrative being screamed from the streets in our nation's capital. It's deeply conservative belief system infiltrating our city, she told the magazine. And then we played the song to jam their communications. They get extremely angry because it's explicit and LGBTQ friendly song. McDonald, who wrote the song back in 2012 as a way to fight homophobia in the country music haven of Nashville, Tennessee, told Rolling Stone he's pleased with the way the song is being used. I'm just totally elated that my song can be used. Stand up for science. The song plays as Ontario Premier Doug Ford upped the ante for protesters. That was when he declared the state of emergency, and they're going to arrest everybody and give them up to $100,000 fees and a year in prison if they don't leave when they're told to leave. We'll see how that goes over the next few days. But yes, that's hashtag Ram Ranch Resistance. Again, I'll see if the audio is worthy to put a little clip in here. And if not, you'll know why, because it's maybe a little too much. But that is going to do it for the weird news. After this, we're going to go to Birdman's review of the Cuphead TV show. And then I'll come back quickly at the end just to sort of say what's coming up on the programming.
18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch.
Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Hold that thought. It's crapper time.
Guys, this is Mike the Birdman here, and I'm here to talk about something really special. We got a chance to preview, which will be coming to Netflix in just a couple of days. I'm talking about the Cuphead show. This is a really fantastic show that is being offered by Netflix. You get 12 episodes running at about 14 to 15 minutes apiece, and it's obviously based upon the very popular shooter video game from a couple of years ago that had long been in development. Then we finally got to play it. It's a fantastically hard game, but it's a gorgeous game. The show definitely feels like the game, where it's got that weird sense of humor about it. And the show's writing of itself, it's actually fairly good. Like, I think some of the episodes that are really stand out is the one involving Ghost Ain't Real's another one. The kind of like a semi two-parter, Sweater Off Dead, and the sequel episode is really good to that. The pilot for this Carn Evil, I think, is a particular strong point and shows what the show really can do. There are some slower paced episodes. It's not to say that they're bad. Like the one involving the baby bottle's kind of funny, but it's kind of inconsequential. But that's kind of the point of this show, is it doesn't need an overarching narrative other than the devil really wants Cuphead's soul because he got screwed out of it at skee-ball. Because reasons. But you got Cuphead, you got Mugman, Miss Chalice shows up at one point, Porkrine, the guy that runs the shops there, and a lot of the characters you recognize from the game are here. Even the first boss that you run into in the game, I think it was like the fruits or the onion or whatever it is, they get an episode, and that's kind of funny. I think the real star of the Cuphead show, though, is the devil. Like, he is so amazingly funny. He's over the top. He's ridiculous. They're like, all of his songs are incredible. Any sequence where it's him in hell with all of the demons, his hench buddies, and King Dice, phenomenal stuff. Wayne Brady also stars as King Dice. You may remember him from Whose Line Is It Anyway? He's a very, very famous comedian, funny guy. Wish he got a chance to do a little bit more, but I like it. Mugman and Cuphead themselves are really, really, really funny. Elder Kettle has some really great kind of one-liners here too. The show, like I said, it's this old school animation style, but it's very new-ish, where it's kind of, it floats between the old 1930s style that it wants to do and modern animation. There's even a point in like the 6th episode where it deals with the ghosts, where the background and animation changes to like, I guess it's not quite 3D, but it looks like semi-real, like it was actually like recorded, maybe using some other kind of technique, like the set was maybe perhaps built. But the show itself is primarily animated. The music in this is fantastic. There aren't very many bad moments in this show. Like I said, overall, I had a really great time. And the fact that they're only 14 to 15 minute episodes means they don't overstay their welcome. They very much fit in that Looney Tunes, Merry Melodies, early Disney, and I guess more contemporarily you could compare them to, like, say, I don't know, Tiny Toon Adventures, where you get like a single little arc and you don't need the full 22 minutes you'd get in a traditional animated show to really pad things out. I really think the show is exceptionally well paced. Overall, I'd say the Cuphead show is a real winner for Netflix animation, and I really hope we do get a season 2 out of this, because you really don't need the overarching story of Cuphead and the devil. You can pretty much do whatever you want with these characters because they exist in such a ridiculous world anyway. Why the hell not? So the Cuphead show by Netflix gets an absolute recommendation of watch it. You don't have to binge watch it in one shot. I really would recommend you don't do that, because I think you'll get a little bit tired of it, but you could. But it's a show that's very easily watchable, especially if you're a big fan of the games. Will younger kids like it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I think they'd have to have played the game to really get a lot of why this is cool. But overall, I think it's a winner. So you should be checking out the Cuphead show by Netflix. And big thanks to these guys for sending this over for us to preview. It was definitely worth my time in the Inkwell Isles.
All right, let's jump right in.
Who will be the first lucky contestant to roll the dice? Will it be me? You?
Those magnificent bastards! Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
And that's going to do it for the show this week. What do we have coming up for you? Well, I'm actually in the process of editing a heck of a ton of Earth vs. Soup, so you'll have those on Tuesday and Thursday. We are going to be getting back to recording our loose cannon and our Future Imperfect episodes now that... for Future Imperfect, now that all the Star Trek shows have sort of wrapped up except for Discovery, as we wait and get towards the release of Strange New Worlds, we did want to do some more, random sci-fi stuff, but I think we've been talking for quite some time, and it was just scheduling wasn't working out, to try to get us to sort of just give a recap with the four of us of what we liked and maybe disliked of Prodigy, and I don't even know if we actually got a review. Maybe we did get a review done of the second season of Lower Decks, but then we can talk a little bit about Discovery and what we see coming up, and it won't be a super long one, just sort of catch up and say like, hey guys, here's what's new. And as far as our loose cannon stuff, we've got some ideas of what's coming. We're going to talk, it's probably going to be me and Aaron first, because I know Birdman is too busy to maybe jump on right away. But we're going to be doing a Troma box set called the Sexy Box, which is 3 movies that were their teen sex comedies from the early 80s. And I know that's sort of right up both of our alleys, so Aaron and I can have a great deal to talk about on those. And then we've got more trauma with I think it's Bloodhook, and we'll probably talk about there's VHS Massacre 2, which is the sequel to I think it's a 2017 documentary about the end of VHS rentals and what that meant for the independent and horror films and genre films of the lower budget stuff that used to come out in the 80s and 90s. And this is sort of a sequel to that, and it seems to have more involvement with trauma. So we'll be talking about that. Birdman has beans to look at. I know it's coming a little later than expected, but because just scheduling how it worked. And we've got some other stuff. I have some ideas for Loose Cannon. And then we are still recording our Stargate show, our Stargate SG-1 RPG actual play. Those are coming out every Saturday. We've got 3 more episodes to come that we've recorded. One might have just premiered. And then we're actually convening in a couple of days to record at least a couple more, 2 or 3. And that'll bring us out probably getting close to the end of the campaign for this. And then we're going to maybe take a break after we do our finish this mission and maybe play 1 or 2 smaller games. I know I'm going to run one so that Birdman doesn't have to be the always GM. And I haven't picked the game I'm going to play just yet, but we're going to pick a couple to do, a couple one-offs, and then maybe return to Stargate again in the future in the fall, if everything works out. But I know we've got some ideas to play maybe even Star Trek. I know Birdman wants to play a couple other games too, so we'll see how that goes. Dune was maybe one, but we'd have to do a little more research on it. I know we want to do like a Power Rangers and a Transformers and maybe a G.I. Joe, depending on those Renegade games when they come out. I know we're probably going to do one for the Marvel superheroes. I might do the Goblin Slayer one, depending on if that book gets pushed back or not. But we'll see. There's a bunch of stuff that way coming out. And as far as other programming, Birdman is going to be recording in the next few weeks, depending on, again, schedules. We're going to get Sunday Funnies up and running again, and they're going to do stuff like maybe recording a few at a time on some evergreen episodes, discussions they can talk about, and then, punch in with a very topical one if need be, so that there's plenty of stuff coming to flow that way. As far as Nerd to the Third, we're syndicating them pretty much either day and date or after they come out. I don't know what's coming, but essentially keep an eye out. Those will come out and fill in the gaps on certain days of the week where we don't have other programming. I will have probably a Turd or Treasure review episode coming soon because I've got a bunch of movies to talk about, as well as maybe a game or 2 that have come out that aren't going to fit into the regular programming mold of what we've got. And I've got a couple games I'm working on. Same with Birdman. We are going to be recording this coming week, as long as everything lines up, a Halo prototype where we discuss the series. I have to catch up by watching a couple of the movies, and Birdman is actually going to be conducting a couple interviews for that. And we've got a giveaway of some Xbox Game Pass Ultimate 3-month passes that we were given by Microsoft for this Halo discussion that we're going to be doing. So that should be coming up this week sometime, as long as, again, everything lines up, and might have some more interviews coming too. So there's plenty coming in the next few weeks, and we'll see from there what's going on, because the main show, Birdman, will be back next week, and we'll be able to do our regular banter back and forth and just have fun. And hopefully there's some good games coming soon, some good movies, and we'll have plenty to talk about. So that's going to do it. I'll talk to everybody, I guess, next week when Birdman's back.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
"18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big haired throbbing cocks wanted to be sucked. 18 naked cowboys wanted to be fucked. Cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch on their knees wanting to suck cowboy cocks. Ram Ranch really rocks. Hot, hard, buff cowboys, their cocks throbbing hard. 18 more wild cowboys out in the yard. Big bulging cocks ever so hard. Orgy in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big hard throbbing cocks. Ram and cowboy butt like a breed of ram wanting to rut. Big hard throbbing cocks getting sucked real deep. Cowboys even getting fucked in their sleep. Ram Ranch, it rocks. Cowboys love big hard throbbing cocks. "18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big hard throbbing cocks wanting to be sucked. 18 naked cowboys wanted to be fucked. Cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch on their knees wanting to suck cowboy cocks. Ram Ranch really rocks." Hot, hard, buff cowboys, their cocks throbbing hard. 18 more wild cowboys out in the yard. Big bulging cocks ever so hard. Orgy in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big hard throbbing cocks. Ram and cowboy butt like a breed of ram wanting to rut. "18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Big hard throbbing cocks wanting to be sucked. 18 naked cowboys wanted to be fucked. Cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch on their knees wanting to suck cowboy cocks. Ram Ranch really rocks." Big hard throbbing cocks getting sucked real deep. Cowboys even getting fucked in their sleep. Ram Ranch, it rocks. Cowboys love big hard throbbing cocks.